Let's move further now, and it is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Supreet Kaur, an esteemed IIT Delhi alumnus and a highly regarded professional with over 10 years of experience in research and techno-strategic analysis. Her work has been her work has been really commendable, and through her mentorship, Dr. Supreet has played a pivotal role in shaping policies and programs that align with global sustainability goals, and her ability to develop critical solutions while standardizing and improving existing practices has been widely recognized. Dr. Supreet will be sharing her valuable insights on the topic transforming governance, implementation of ESG strategies and policies in government organizations. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Dr. Supreet Kaur.
Thank you, Dr. Shreya. Thank you so much. And I would like to extend my thanks to Sustrack for inviting me for this wonderful session today, wherein we'll be talking about transforming governance and how the ESG strategies and policies can be implemented in the government organizations. All speakers, my previous speakers, colleagues have already spoken a lot about ESG strategies, frameworks, how the investment can be understood, and then the ethics, business ethics when it comes to ESG strategies. So, Shreya, I would request you if you can actually share my slide.
Sure, ma'am.
Would be great.
Yeah. Sure, ma'am. Just give me a moment. We'll share your slide. Share the screen.
In the meantime, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, Shreya. So in this session, we'll be talking about how ESG principles are actually increasingly becoming integral part to the public sector operations. It's not limited only to the businesses across globe, but also involving government organizations. And since the whole world is facing a lot of challenges related to climate change, social inequality, and the demands for greater transparency, governments are also called to act upon those pressing issues, not only as regulators but also as leaders in sustainability. We have also seen that India has been a very had a very firm talk in COP29 itself. We just saw it, and that's how we see that the government nowadays are actually coming up and are taking very active participation in when it comes to implementing ESG strategies in their organizations. So the significance of ESG in aligning the governance with societal needs, showcasing successful initiatives from around the globe and providing a framework for effective implementation would be covered in this session. And also we know that ESG strategies are required to transform our institutions. Also, they foster public trust and contribute to a more sustainable future for all. Next slide, please. Yeah, to begin with, we have already spoken a lot about what is the ESG, what is E and S and G in ESG, but from a government's perspective, E stands for environment, wherein the issues such as climate change, resource depletion, pollution, biodiversity loss are addressed. S stands for social, which involves labor practices, community relations, diversity and inclusion, and stakeholder engagement. G stands for governance, which encompasses corporate governance, ethics, compliance, and risk management. Now, understanding these components is actually very much vital as they collectively influence not only the current policies, but also the policies for future. How would actually take up, how would India or any other country, be it developed or developing country, will take up the policies for future that actually would, I would say, help sustainability to be incorporated, to be implemented at the ground level as well as the policy level. But when talking about the public sector, adopting ESG principles help align government actions with global sustainability goals and meets the rising demand of accountability. Next slide, please. To understand what would be the importance of ESG in government, I think these 4 points would be very much crucial, wherein the ESG actually enhances transparency and accountability by facilitating open communication about government actions, which involves public scrutiny and input as well. The second point is promoting sustainable development by integrating economic growth with the environmental protection and social well-being of the citizens as well. This holistic approach supports long-term planning and resilience against climate change. Adopting ESG principle also builds public trust towards their government, and by committing to ethical practices and engaging citizens in governance, government can strengthen the relationship with their communities. Lastly, to attract investments, sustainable investments, or socially responsible investments, ESG plays a very important role, wherein opening the doors for funding opportunities for sustainable initiatives are important. So these advantages not only benefit governance but also contribute to a healthier and more equitable society. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. The previous slide. The previous slide, please. Yeah. The current trends in ESG adoption, like before, we all know India's take on the climate change and all, but to understand what exactly is there in the ESG adoption globally, there are some best cases that I've shown it in the slide here, like Canada, United Kingdom, New Zealand, Singapore, and South Korea. These diverse approaches showcase integrating how ESG principles can be integrated into policies and practices. While we talk about Canada, the Pan-Canadian Framework on Clean Growth and Climate Change, it aims to reduce the emissions and promote clean growth. Their indigenous rights initiative focus on recognizing and integrating indigenous perspective into governance. The Open Government Initiative, it enhances the transparency and public access to government data. As I've already spoken about the transparency in my previous slide, like how transparency is an important aspect in ESG as far as the governance is concerned. The United Kingdom has their net zero target by 2050 and the green finance strategy, wherein they promote sustainable investment, and also there are legal bindings to the emission reductions supported by robust climate policies. Socially, UK is enhancing the diversity in public sector leadership, and they have this mandatory ESG reporting for large companies, as also is there to a certain extent, like covered by Professor Vivek in his session, that there are certain number of companies that need to be mandatorily giving their ESG reporting in India. New Zealand has this Zero Carbon Act, which commits to net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. They have this well-being budget wherein they talk about mental health, child poverty, and housing as well. The governance there actually emphasizes more on the public engagement, actively involving citizens in decision making. Talking about involvement of citizens in decision making, South Korea has also a lot of public participation in environmental decision making. They have this Green New Deal, which targets sustainable recovery, especially post-COVID, wherein they invest a lot in the green technology and renewable energy. They have these employment policies wherein they create a lot of green sector jobs and support transitions from fossil fuel industries to the green sector. Talking about Singapore, Singapore is having this Green Plan 2030, which focuses on green energy and sustainable urban solutions. They have this inclusive growth initiatives, which supports social mobility and disadvantaged groups. The governance is driven by Smart Nation initiative, leveraging technology for efficient public service delivery. Next slide, please. Some of the steps have already been covered. Most like this is just a repetition of what has already been covered, but just to give a very quick overview, the steps for developing an ESG strategy is first assessment, a policy formulation, integration, monitoring and reporting. I'll not go into much detail to this slide. Next slide, please, because this has already been covered previously. But when we are actually implementing the strategies of ESG, we also face a lot of challenges. The first is the resistance to change, which is very much common. It could be due to cultural change. It could be due to any other any other factor also. But mostly it would be also we find that a lot of lack of resources and expertise is there when it comes to ESG reporting. And how do we implement those strategies? How do we formulate policies? And how does the reporting happens? So the second point would be the lack of resources and expertise with, or the challenges that we find we usually have while implementing the ESG strategies. The third one is measurement and reporting difficulties, which arise due to defining ESG metrics and ensuring data integrity. The fourth could be political and economical pressures, and due to those short-term political cycles, they can have an impact on the long-term commitments to ESG principles. Sometimes the political pressures are much there. So addressing these challenges requires strategic planning and coalition building. Next slide, please. To implement ESG strategies successfully, 4 best practices need to be taken care of as far as my understanding is concerned. So first is the stakeholder engagement, which fosters dialogue with the community members and civil society. Then continuous training and education to the government staff to help them build their understanding about ESG strategies. Using technology and data collection and analysis, which my previous speakers have already spoken about, like technology has been an integral part to it, and forming collaborations and partnerships with across globe. I would say across globe also, with NGOs, with academic institutions, to implement those strategies on ground. They will not only help have a commitment, or they'll not only help reaching the commitment, but also will actually improve the effectiveness of these ESG strategies. Next slide, please. Future directions for ESG in government. Talking about these, so there are 3 main trends that can be taken care of. First is regarding the emerging trends like the climate resilience. We have been talking a lot about it, social justice and circular economy, and technology. Yes, big data, social media, artificial intelligence, strengthening the global collaboration with international partners, knowledge sharing, knowledge dissemination, best practices adoption. These are some of the directions that will actually help implementing ESG strategies in any government. So I would like to stop here, Dr. Shreya. In case there are questions to it, to my session, I can address after the session, or anybody can reach out to me also.
So, thank you so much, Supreet ma'am. It was a wonderful session. So actually, due to a bit less time, we have decided to move the questions at the end of the entire session. We have just one more session left, so maybe we can take up the questions after that. It was a wonderful session, ma'am, and especially the part where you covered the global trends in the ESG, that was very, very knowledgeable. And I hope everybody have enjoyed this session by Dr. Supreet. On behalf of everyone, I would like to thank you, ma'am, for the time and sharing us this information. Thank you so much. It was very knowledgeable, very nice.